Right, a short date please and learn objective, and then can you just write out the formula underneath please with the additional parts. Okay, pause the video while you're doing that and then we'll get on with the lesson. Okay, right, okay, so I know people have been struggling a bit with these, and understandably, because they're tricky. Okay, but now in fact the way we've gone through the first part, sort of to try and help us understand all about it, but actually it's much easier now we have this formula. Okay, now we have this formula. These are the questions we had yesterday, and we'll see now we have this formula how much easier it is. Okay, so the formula, again, you've written it down in your book. So y equals mx plus c. So we know that m is the gradient and c is the y-intercept. So that makes it all so much easier, doesn't it? Okay, so if we just put this underneath, y equals 2x minus 5. Okay, so that tells us straight away if m is the gradient, m is 2, and then if c is the y-intercept, okay, c is the y-intercept, then, and that is in this case minus 5. There we go. We can put it in like that, can't we? Okay, and we've very, very easily, without having to do all this sort of different working out the equations, we've got it there nice and easily. Now let's just put those into our graph. Okay, so the gradient is 2 and the y, let's just so if we know the y-intercept is minus 5, okay, the y-intercept is minus 5, it's going to go here. Okay, let me just write this down here. So we know the y-intercept is minus 5. We'll just put it back like that, and the gradient is 2. Okay, from there we can very easily do our graph, can't we? So we know that the y-intercept is just the point at which the line is going to cross the y-axis, isn't it? Okay, so it's minus 5 here, and the gradient is 2. So that means for every 1 going across the x-axis, it's 2 up. So we have that point. Then if we wanted to do another one, so 1 across, 2 up, just to help us. And then from there, we can nice and easily, draw that line in, can't we? Okay, so this would be our line of our line that represents that equation. Excuse me, we need line, is it? And remember, we'd have to label that as well, wouldn't we? So y is equal to 2x minus 5. And it just makes it so much easier than working it out the other way. Okay, so I know those of you who've been struggling a little bit with these, hopefully it'll start to sort of make a little bit more sense now. Okay, right, let's go back to this here. Okay, again, this is the work from yesterday. So let's just go for here. Y is equal to x plus 1. So we know m is the gradient, and this is going to be 1x. The gradient is 1. Okay, because this is the same as 1x, isn't it? Okay. And therefore the y-intercept is plus 1. Okay, again, is 1 and all. That's 1. Yeah, plus 1 on the positive part. So again, we can go here. Let's just change these. So that's going to be the gradient is 1, and the y-intercept is also 1. Okay, so we go here. So the y-intercept is 1. It's going to start here. The gradient is 1, so it goes 1. So it's going like that, isn't it? Across like that. So again, we can draw in our line. Okay, we're drawing our line because we can now we have the gradient. Okay, we can work out so it's not very neatly drawn. Okay, so it's 1 across, 1 up, and it's going through the y-axis at that point, at point 1 there, and so on, really, with it, and so on. So all we have to do, and then it gets to the point where, you know, it's in your head. So we know m is the gradient, so the gradient is going to be 3, and then the y-intercept is going to be plus 4. Okay, this one, it's minus x, so that means the gradient is minus 1. Okay, and this, and the y-intercept is going to be 2, okay, plus 2. Let's just do this last one, okay? We're not going to spend too long on these because I think we should have the idea. So let's have a little look. So that one, let's do that. So that's the y-intercept is plus 2 and the gradient is minus 1. So first of all, okay, so we know it's going to start in this line up, but remember it's a minus number. The gradient is a minus number, so it's going to be going downwards. So it's going to start on the left hand side and go downwards because of the negative number, and the gradient is just 1. So again, it's going to go. So we're going to go here, aren't we? Because then it's 1 across for every 1 on the x-axis for every 1 on the y-axis. Okay, and so on. So that would be this line here. That would be that line. So this line here is x equals. Oh, in fact I copied it up. Yep, x equals y is equal to minus x, and we can tell it's minus x because the gradient is a minus 1 gradient plus 2. I'm just going through plus 2 on the y-axis. Okay, oops. Okay, so remembering to label these as well. Okay, hopefully that is fairly helpful. Okay, hopefully that's fairly helpful. Between this video and the last one you watched, hopefully you're starting to develop an understanding of that. Let's just see if we can work out what the equations are for some of these lines. Okay, so again, let's write our formula. Y is equal to mx plus c. Now we know m is the gradient, c is the intercept. Okay, so let's just start off with this line up here. We'll start off with this line. Okay, so y, I'll write the formula again. Y equals mx plus c. So I'm going to start off with the c, with the y-intercept. Okay, so we know that's a positive 3, so that's going to be plus 3. Let's look at the gradient. Now first of all, I can see the gradient is going, it's a downward gradient, so I know it's going to be a negative number. A negative number, and the gradient is for 1 across, it's 1 down, isn't it? So it would be minus 1x. So y is equal to minus 1x plus 3. I worked out from there. Now I don't need that 1, do I? We're just going to call it minus x. So this one is y is minus x plus 3. And actually, if we look at it, thinking about it, if we look at it, if I've still got it somewhere, hang on. What did I do with that other one? Right, okay, well it was just the same as the last one, wasn't it? But it just went through the 2 there, but with the minus. Okay, let's have a look at this. Have a look at this one here. Let's have a look at this one here. Okay, the brown one. So again, I'm going to just write that down. Y equals mx plus c. So again, I'm going to do the y-intercept first. Right, I can see that's where it's intercepting the y-axis. So that would be a minus 3 there. Okay. Now I've got to work out the gradient for and it's a positive gradient because it's going upwards. So we go for every 1 across, there's 2 up, so there would be 2x. So y is equal to 2x minus 3. This would be that line there. Okay, let's have a look at this one here. Y equals mx plus c. Let's just start at the y-intercept. It's going through the origin, it's going through the 0, so actually there would be plus 0, but again I don't need to add 0, do I? So that's all sorted there. Okay, I can just leave that blank. And let's have a little look at the again, I can see it's going downwards, so it's going to be a negative gradient. Y is going to be a negative gradient, and then for every and it's going a third each time, 1/3, 2/3, the whole thing, isn't it? Oh, it's y divided by x, isn't it? The amount of movement changing y to changing x. So it's going to be 1/3. So that is y equals 1/3 x. Okay. Again, because we're going across for every 1 we go across, it's just third down, isn't it? We know that because it's 3 across and 1 down. Okay. Let's just have a look at this last one again. Let's have a look here. So we've got, let's not bother with the formula. I'm going to do the intercept first, and that's going to be -2. So I know it's going to end in -2. I'm going to look at the gradient. For every 1 going across, it's half up, isn't it? Okay, for every 1 going up, so it'll be a half, and it's a positive because it's going upwards. So that's y equals a half x minus 2. Right, okay. Now, as I say, I know people have been struggling on these, and I do understand why, because it really can be confusing. It's one of those things, if you get it straight away, you wonder why people have found it confusing, but I know it can be confusing, okay? So what I'd like us to do, okay, I've just split the work into 2 sort of sections today. If you're not so confident, can you just do questions 3 and 8? Now, if you have time then, go back and have a little look through your book, even if it's just through the textbook, just to check that the ones you kind of couldn't do before, you might be able to do now with this knowledge, okay? So just spend a little bit of time going back on it. If you're still struggling with these today, because I know a couple of you have struggled, and I've just said keep at it, and you know, it will start making sense. If it's still not making sense, okay, you do need to contact me and we'll do a bit of extra work with it. If you're confident, can you do questions 5 to 12, please? If you're confident, just questions 5 to 12. Right, okay, good luck with that, everyone. Cheers, bye-bye.